We cannot do friendships without wisdom from above.
Wow.
We cannot do healthy, sane, godly friendships without wisdom from above. And that's what the wisdom literature gives us.
Welcome to the Soul Renovate podcast, where longtime friends George and Jim discuss spiritual formation, soul care, and how Christian leaders can grow in abiding in Christ. Over the next several weeks, Jim and George are talking about friendship. What is it really, and why is it so important to our walks with Jesus? Let's dive in.
Here we go.
Here we go. Hey, George.
How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited about this series we're doing on friendship. It's really challenging the socks off me in different ways, and I'm also enjoying it too.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm learning a lot from God's Word, from you, from just my own reflections. So
I really think that we in the church need to learn friendship well.
we do.
We need to learn it well. We need to learn to do it well. One of the things that I thought about was, like, if trauma and grief are sometimes born, give birth to friendships, grieving with other people, being with other people in trauma is a great way to build friendships with people.
Wow.
And we ought to be training people in the church to know how to be friends to people in grief and people in trauma.
Yeah.
Our hospitals are full of people like that.
Wow.
Other institutions are full of people like that. Nursing homes are full of people like that.
Looking for friendship.
Looking for
longing.
friendships. And that is, in Japan, they have a service in Japan. Hire a friend.
No.
Rent a friend. Rent a friend.
Really?
That's right. It's to the point that you have to pay to rent a friend in some places. Both in England, they've created a new ministry in government that tackles loneliness.
Wow.
I
didn't know this.
A minister
I'm
of
not
loneliness.
surprised, I guess, but
Minister, and we're not very far from that here. Something like that has been created in the U.S. I just can't put my finger on the name of it, but there's a crisis out there. And I think the church is called to meet these crises because we have all these models of friendships in scriptures, all this teaching of friendship. We have God as our friend, we have Christ as our friend, we are friend to one another. And that ought to be one of our major exports to the culture.
that we can offer.
That we can offer the culture, right? Yeah.
And sometimes we're not very good at it in the church either. So we have to be learners ourselves.
Yeah. I'm entering into a year-long experience with a few people, men and women, that we're going to actually study friendship in as deep a way as we can and deepen our friendships with one another.
That's really cool.
Yeah. We're going to take a year to do it because I think we're seeing the need for it. And at the end of it, people will be trained to reflect on friendship and be friends and maybe even teach friendship to others.
Wow.
I look forward to that.
You guys are getting your PhD in friendship.
We're getting our PhDs, yeah. Well, today we want to start again with some formative spiritual reading that we call Lectio Divina.
Okay.
It forms our spirit. It tunes our spirits to the heart of God as we read His Word to us, for us, and see what it has to say to us
Okay.
on a day-to-day basis.
So we've been in Colossians.
We've been in Colossians. We're going to continue there. This is a shift here, like a break in the
All right.
logic of the passage between verses 4 and 5 to 7. But let me read just verse 5.
Okay.
So put to death, because you have been raised with Christ, hidden with Christ, died with Christ. The consequence of that kind of confession and reality that you exist in.
Okay.
He now says, put to death whatever in your nature belongs to the earth. Whatever belongs to your earthly nature. Sexual immorality, impurity, shameful passion, evil desire, and greed, which is idolatry. So put to death whatever in your nature belongs to the earth. Sexual immorality, impurity, shameful passion, evil desire, and greed, which is idolatry. How is this sitting with you?
Yeah. Really, one thing, and it's stating probably the obvious, but nonetheless, it's not offering 3 or 4 options to do with, these impulses and sinful nature actions. It's saying get rid of it, put it to death.
It's a constant putting to death.
Right.
Like it's
Yeah.
not a once and for all.
Yeah.
This is what stood out to me. Like I think of passages like what came to mind was there is no temptation that has overtaken you that is not common to men. I think, we think of ourselves as people following hard after God and all of that. But we are all subject to all the temptations that are common to all people
Yes.
of all time. Like sexual immorality. If I were to ask myself, what am I tempted with? These would be some of the things that I would.
They're right within reach for each of us.
Correct.
Yeah, it's true.
You never outgrow that temptation unless you outgrow it intentionally with Jesus.
Yeah.
Unless you constantly put it to death. Like I'm speaking in general, but I'm speaking to myself.
Yeah.
Like this is work with Christ. This is the working out of my salvation in fear and trembling.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Thank you, George. May God help us, each of us, in this endeavor
Yeah.
to put to death that which is hindering us and the gift of life that Jesus has for each of us. So. Okay, you ready to jump in?
Yeah,
We're going to take a little bit of it, not necessarily a different turn. We're still in friendship, looking at friendship in the scriptures, and we've been looking at some examples of friendship, some narratives, but we're going to look at it a little bit differently. We're going to just
more general.
Yeah, we're going to take a glance in the wisdom literature today. So the wisdom literature, what we mean by that is almost the dead center of our Bibles, or right after this. Psalms is actually the biggest book, and it's considered part of that in most classifications as well. But we're going to hone in on 3 smaller books in the Old Testament, smaller than Psalms anyway, and talk about wisdom in friendship and what our wisdom literature might have to say
Yeah.
to us. And we're going to have to paint with pretty broad strokes
Correct,
here.
correct.
But otherwise, we would have very many episodes just on friendship in the wisdom literature. But
Yeah.
we're not going to do that for now anyway. We're going to try to cover it in one episode.
There's so much about friendship here.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit. I didn't realize how much friendship and the need for, like, why is friendship part of this literature?
Wisdom literature, yeah.
Wisdom literature.
Yeah.
Like, it's not taught per se anywhere else. We've got examples of it.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Abraham, a friend of God. We've got Moses, a friend of God. We've got particular stories like David and Jonathan, Ruth and Naomi, that kind of exemplify. But this is very general
Right.
terms around friendship, and
Yeah.
it's wisdom. It's not laws about friendship. I
Right.
don't see them that way.
Yeah.
But there are wise things that have developed over centuries that the people of God, under the influence of the Holy Spirit and by inspiration, have given to us that we can live by.
Yeah. And I'm kind of excited about that, George, because I don't think that when I've engaged wisdom literature, I mean, I could quote a handful of verses about wisdom literature, about a friendship, but at the same time, I think my paradigm, the way I think about the wisdom literature, is it's there to sort of keep me out of trouble in hard things and, bad relationships. So I'm encouraged to think about wisdom in friendship, wisdom in relationships that I actually am drawn to or am trying to cultivate, not just stay away from.
Yeah.
So this is helpful for me to see wisdom in such a positive light.
The nugget here in this episode, I think you've just stated it, and it's worth restating, is we cannot do friendships without wisdom from above.
Wow.
We cannot do healthy, sane, godly friendships without wisdom from above. And that's what the wisdom literature gives us.
So there we go. I mean, that's a mouthful right there, but I think it makes so much sense.
And there's so many joys. It extols the joys of friendships, the hardships of friendships. It gives us many warnings. And there's been hundreds of books and movies and that are written about friendship. Like I did a Google search, and it's endless.
Yeah.
It's endless, right?
Yeah.
The stuff on friendships, showing all kinds of sides of friendships. One series that I've just watched recently is called Till Death. And it's a series that is in Arabic and from Lebanon. But it's translated.
Okay.
You can listen to the English version.
Okay.
Or read the English as things are being said. But it's about these two young girls who grew up together on the street and went through some horrific experiences and have decided together that they're going to use that experience of growing up on the street to make a life for themselves as friends. So what they do is they marry men who are well-to-do. They're beautiful women. They marry men who are well-to-do. And they seduce each other's husbands.
Whoa.
It's weird. It's really a clean series because in Middle Eastern culture you won't see people kissing on the screen.
Oh wow.
It's just not a thing.
Mm-hmm. But it's going on.
It's going on.
Yeah.
So they're seducing each other's husbands, and divorce ensues, and all the money that comes from the divorce. So they're getting richer on because this is a weird friendship that they've developed. There's absolutely no wisdom at all in this friendship. They try to use the wisdom of the world, and some ancient wisdom in their relationship, but it's such a broken, dysfunctional relationship.
Yeah. So you're not recommending this approach to us?
No, I'm not recommending the approach. I'm recommending as an example of unwise friendships.
Okay. Yeah.
And what can go on in unwise friendships.
All right. How are we going to do this? How are you going to talk about wisdom literature?
You got the Proverbs, you've got Ecclesiastes, you've got Job, and we're instructed that friendship requires wisdom.
Okay.
Wisdom is required in everything in life.
All right.
This is how God created us, to need his wisdom. And remember in James chapter 1, verses 1 to 8, if you lack any wisdom, ask it in faith, and God will give it to you. Solomon, which is part of
the wisdom literature. He's a big guy in that field.
Yeah, he is. And it was accounted to him as a wonderful thing that he has done. When he was asked if he would ask for anything in his life, what would he ask for?
Yeah.
And he said wisdom.
Wisdom, yeah.
And I think this is what we can ask God for in our lives of friendships with one another, because I see it as a sacred relationship. It's a chosen, sacred relationship that we have with one another. And we better be wise in not breaking the sacredness of that relationship. So we need wisdom.
Man, that's good stuff.
In Proverbs, we can't generalize. Like, I'm sure scholars can figure out how to classify all these friendship sayings and all of that.
Right.
It just defies a lot of that.
Yeah.
So
that's not our job. We're not going to try to classify them.
The best we can do is just talk about a couple of three principles here. Like in Proverbs 11:12, it talks about friends keep secrets safe with one another.
There's words of wisdom in a friendship right there.
Yeah. You have to keep confidences. And if you betray a confidence, it's done. The friendship is done.
Yeah.
And so better be thinking twice about gossiping about our friends.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What is said to us in confidence remains. So the safety and trust in friendship, the Proverbs, the wisdom of the Proverbs is keep that sacrosanct.
Yeah, it's good.
Don't mess with that.
Yeah, guard that. That's a treasure that you've been given.
Yeah.
And I don't think we need to give caveats here. I mean, obviously, if someone shares something with us that should be reported, we would know to do that. So don't hear us saying that.
No, this is relationship among friends.
Right.
It's not counselor, spiritual director, but but it's about friends.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
It's a holy gift that God gives to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Proverbs 17:17 says, "A friend loves at all times."
Yeah.
At all times. Yeah. So when you enter into a friendship with a person, you enter into a loving commitment for life.
Yeah.
Proverbs. A constant loving commitment.
17:17.
Yeah.
Friend loves
at all times.
At all times.
Yeah. And followed by 18:24, which says that love is a bigger love than the love of siblings at times, the love of friendship.
Wow. More deeper than family.
It's deeper than the love that can exist between siblings. Now, it's not making a statement of fact that is...
It's an observation.
It's an observation that it can be deeper than familial kind of love. So
there's a proverb I think of, George, is 27:9.
Yeah.
It says, "The pleasantness of one's friend springs from his earnest counsel."
Yeah.
And I think that's really good because it's introducing wisdom into that friendship.
That's right.
When my friend if I'm a friend of someone or I have a friend, there should be a place for counsel there, where we're seeking one another's advice and listening and weighing and dialoguing over.
Yeah.
And often submitting to. There's a place for that. So
the way of friendship and the way of treating other people as friends with the gentleness and the wisdom of friendship needs a lot more play in everything we do in life and in the church.
Yeah.
Like when I used to preach on a regular basis, and one of the comments that people used to make to me was, "Boy, you sure preached the word today. You stepped on our toes."
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I kind of like drew back from that kind of a comment. Like, how about a friend that brings healing to your wounds with their words instead of hurting your toes?
Always just stepping on your feet.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surely we need both, but we need the pleasantness of one's friend.
That's right.
Coming.
Yeah. There's a love that comes in friendship. But love is to be applied to all relationships.
Right.
Except in the case of friendship, there's specificity, particularity to the friendship, and that to that love. I don't just love you in a general kind of way,
right.
But in love, I listen to you. In love, I share with you. In love, we're there for each other.
Yeah.
Ready to do what we need to do.
Yeah.
In love, you bring people with you and help me with a project that I can't do on my own.
Yeah.
So there's a specificity to the love and friendships that there isn't with the command to love everybody.
Right.
Right.
We couldn't possibly be that way with everyone.
And then in Proverbs, there's many, many warnings about flattering friendships. People that flatter us and pretend to be friends,
right.
but when the chips are down, are nowhere to be found. They're like fair weather kinds of friends.
Yeah.
So there's a lot on friendship. So you can read it on almost every page of the Proverbs.
Yeah.
It's there.
You know, when I was in my late 20s, and I had a pastor whom I owe so much to. His name is Harold. And he challenged me. He said, "Jim, there's 31 chapters in Proverbs." He says, "I want to challenge you and he was specific. He said, for the next 10 years, I'd like you to consider reading a chapter of Proverbs every day. So if it's April 13th, read the 13th chapter of Proverbs. Correspond the day of the week." And I took him up on that. And the Proverbs have been so formational for me. Yeah, I don't read it every day like I did for that decade, but I've continued to stay in it. And Proverbs has been such a help. Yeah,
just imagine the mess you'd be in if you hadn't done that kind of formative reading.
Yeah,
you know?
For sure.
Yeah. I think one of the warnings is in the Proverbs is about our children's and children's friends.
Interesting.
To help our children look at friendships in wisdom.
That's good.
And to teach them how to choose wisely.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't do it intentionally, but we modeled it somehow, and the mercy of God has come in our family, in that our kids have or know how to choose good friends.
Yes.
But you can't take that for granted.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's appealing and attractive out there. That's really good. It's good. Yeah.
Ecclesiastes, what I take from Ecclesiastes is like doing life from a posture, from a place, from a prism, from a rhythm of friendship.
Yeah. That's good. Because Ecclesiastes has a lot of
it's pretty gloom and doom. That's right. It's a glimpse about how how a life full of friendship can go.
Yeah.
In Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 to 12.
Yeah. Do you have it?
I don't have it.
I just turned to it. I
yeah,
thought maybe
go ahead
you'd
and
read.
read.
Is that all right?
Read that, yeah.
I'm going to read 9 to 12. Is that what you mentioned? Okay. This is Ecclesiastes, and it's this is I think the New English version. Is that what it's called? So it's maybe a little bit different than what maybe some of us have heard, but it's saying a similar thing. It reads, 2 people are better than one because they can reap more benefit from their labor. For if they fall, one will help his friend up. But pity the person who falls down and has no one to help him up. Furthermore, if 2 lie down together, they can keep each other warm. But how can one person keep warm by himself? And then in verse 12, although an assailant may overpower one person, 2 can withstand him. Moreover, a 3-stranded cord is not quickly broken.
Yeah.
That's just beautiful poetry about friendship.
Yeah, and it's coming on the heel of verses 1 to 8. Just read one verse of chapter 4 at the beginning of 4.
Okay.
Just 1 and 2 maybe.
Okay. I again considered all the oppression that continually occurs on earth. And this is what I see. The oppressed are in tears, and no one was comforting them. No one delivers them from the power of their oppressors. And it goes on to say, I think it's better to be dead and gone than alive.
So this counsel, this wisdom on friendship is coming on the back of that other kind of way of being and living.
Yeah.
He's saying the way of friendship is the way to do life with everybody.
Man.
Everyone is a potential friend, or at least to be treated as a friend.
That's good.
So it's a posture of friendship that I see that we are being taught. Not just, I'm going to have 2 or 3 best friends, and that's all.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
No. That's great.
Yes.
That's great. Many people don't.
That would be
don't
wise
have that.
advice. Yeah.
But the wisdom is, why don't you live as a friend?
Yeah.
Why don't you be a friend in every situation you can be? That's the life that I think Jesus modeled for us.
Yeah.
And we're being instructed to do
Man,
here.
George, that's a game changer, what you just said right there, I think. Because I think it is fairly in culture is this mentality of choose a couple good friends and doesn't really matter. It's not said this way, but it doesn't really matter how you are with other people if you've got a couple good friends that are going to, quote, watch your back.
Yeah.
And that's really a very odd way to live our lives, where I think what I'm hearing you say is the way of Jesus and the counsel of the wisdom literature is live like a friend.
Yeah.
There's no way you're going to have 1,000 best friends, and we all understand that. No. But you can be a friend in so many different ways and so many different levels.
Yeah, you can be a friend with PhD.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
You can be present when people are talking to you. You can be present at the checkout.
Yeah.
In the grocery store. You can be present.
Yeah.
You can call that person by name.
Yeah.
You can be present there. You can show hospitality. You can open up with a smile.
Yeah.
Or how are you doing today?
Yeah. Yeah.
And develop a dialogue if the person is inclined to do so. That's the way of
PhD.
Of friendship, PhD.
Yeah.
And then the Hail Mary of friendship.
Okay, yeah, okay. Are we going there now to the Hail Mary?
Well, we could, yeah. I mean.
Okay. So all George did here is he took these ideas of friendship that we've talked about quite a bit and made it acrostic.
Correct.
So give us Hail Mary, George.
Yeah. Honesty.
Honesty is the age.
Honesty is the age.
Yeah.
Like treat everyone with honesty.
Yeah.
Not just your friends, but make that as a way of life. That you be honest.
Yeah.
Without the wisdom comes here is who can I be honest with?
Right.
And how much honesty do I confront with or carefront another person?
That's right.
Right. Yeah. A is for accompaniment. Like if you can be with people and come alongside of them and make them look better and devote yourself to them without actually being besties, you know?
Yeah, lend a hand.
Lend a
help
hand,
them.
yeah. Be there, accompany people on their endeavors.
Yeah,
Cheer them on.
yeah,
Be the accompanist,
yeah. That's good.
not the main thing.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
I is for intimacy. You know, you can be intimate to a stranger. You know,
yeah.
I remember I was sitting in the airport one day in Atlanta. There's a young woman, 18 years old, and I'm older. And she's taking pictures. And then she took a selfie of herself. And I said to her, would you mind if you took a selfie with me? This is a stranger. I don't know her from Adam.
Yeah.
And she was puzzled at first because I'm asking her to do a very intimate thing, you know. And she consented. You know, she thought about it for just a split second. Who is this stranger asking me to do this? And so I just take a selfie. And she did.
Wow.
And she probably showed it to her friends. He's this strange old guy who was hitting on me, but I wasn't at all. Asked me to take a selfie with him. I didn't ask her to send me the picture or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's an intimate moment. L is for love.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And M is for mutuality.
That's good.
And you can read that passage again, Ecclesiastes 4, 9 to 12, and see all of these elements present in there.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So PhD,
Hail
more,
Mary.
and then Hail Mary.
And Hail Mary in the football sense, right?
Not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And then in Job.
Okay.
Job's
another wisdom.
Is
literature
another
book.
wisdom literature book, and there's a lot about friendship. He's got friends that come and kind of spoil friendship.
Yeah.
What friendship is all about.
Yeah.
But really, I think that's a shallow reading of Job.
Yes.
Because it's not friendship on the line. It's friends that are not acting in wisdom. That's the problem.
That's good. Yeah.
Friendship is intact, right?
Yep.
And God, friendship with God too is part of what Job is about. In 16,
For sure.
20 to 21, Job is a friend of God, or God is his friend. And the same word that is used for friends throughout the book is used of God being the friend of Job in that passage.
Wow.
So it's a lovely, wonderful,
that's really good.
wonderful reminder that the wisdom of friendship from God to us, from us towards each other, it comes from him, and we channel it. We become conduits
Yeah, that's good.
to others.
So in Job, it's not necessarily that these guys are bad friends as much as it is we're just seeing ways where they're not operating
In wisdom.
In wisdom.
That's right.
And we can learn from that.
And we can learn, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the posture of friendship,
Yeah.
I think, towards all people. The PhD and the Hail Mary, that we operate as people of the kingdom, as people of Jesus, modeling his life towards all people.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe it's a little bit new paradigm, I think, maybe for at least some of us to think about how, I'm just repeating what we've said, how important wisdom is in our friendships.
Yeah.
That we don't see our friendships. I think one of the paradigms that sometimes I've had is a friend is someone who I can really be myself with. That's good. That's healthy. But then that can lend itself with, I don't really have to exercise care and wisdom with this person. I can just kind of slop around in the way I relate to them. And like, no, I especially want to honor my friend and show
It's a
dignity.
sacred relationship.
Yeah, I think
And
that's...
the way we honor them, the way we treat them, ennobles that friendship.
ennobles, there's that word.
I have seen a lot of, and I hear a lot of friends with a lot of put downs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I say to myself, like, how are they feeling? Like, is that really the dude thing to do?
yeah,
you
tear
know?
one another down.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
There's no wisdom there.
There's no wisdom in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean we can't be playful with each other.
Correct.
And
or be direct with one another. The wounds of a friend heal.
That's right.
Like
that can
the
be
Proverbs
trusted.
say.
Yeah. Thank you for that, George. I think there's a lot here.
Yeah, there's a lot here
for us. And so we recommend the wisdom literature.
Yeah.
We've looked at Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Job.
Yeah, just very, very minutely.
Yeah, very, very, skipped a rock over the top of it. That's all we did. Well, we'll keep talking about friendship and look forward to continuing this conversation, George. Learn how to.
Do you know where we're going next?
I have no idea. Where are we going?
Well, we might go for lunch, but that's beside the point. Where we're going next is the story of Peter and Jesus and that friendship.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And when you have a failed friendship.
Okay.
Because that's what the story is about.
Okay.
How do you come back from a failed friendship? Yeah. Look forward to seeing you again.
Okay. See you next time.
Take care.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Soul Renovate podcast. Any of the scriptures or resources that we mentioned in this episode will be linked in our show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a review and subscribe on your favorite podcasting app, because it really helps us to share these conversations with more Christian leaders like you. And if you have any questions you'd like Jim and George to answer, you can email us at info@soulrenovate.us. Soul Renovate is a ministry of Christ First Counseling Center, and it exists to propel Christian leaders to abide in Christ and grow in His likeness. Soul Renovate is made possible by the generous support of people like you. If you'd like to support us, you can do that on our website, soulrenovate.us. And if you'd like to learn more about Soul Renovate, you can also do that on our website, soulrenovate.us. This podcast is produced by me, Dalton Huey, with the help of Gil Hara. Our cover art was designed by Hannah Huey, and our music is by The Fox's Forest. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.